Being forgiven by Amelia is the greatest gift. Jamie Dornan returns as husband and father. The moment of parting echoed in Jamie's heart like thunder in the night. Amelia, her eyes bright but sad, looked at him with determination and pain. He clearly remembered her words. Jamie, can you forgive yourself? Can you understand that you are also a wounded person? Until he left the house they once shared, he felt like he was carrying a void in his heart. The days that followed were a long series of mistakes, silences, and indelible distances. He let his work take him away, letting his toughness hide his loneliness. He realized he had been wrong about many things, thinking that movies, contracts, and fame were enough. But nothing was enough if his heart was not with his family. He clearly remembered the nights when his children cried for not having a father, the times when Amelia endured his silence. She struggled to keep the house, and their love, together in the storm without breaking. He remembered the look in the child's eyes as he asked, "Daddy, are you coming home?" And he couldn't answer. Apologies were building up in his heart, but he didn't know how to start. He had thought he was invincible. He could overcome all the pressure, of course, but he forgot that what he needed to overcome the most was himself, his fear, his self-doubt, his unhealed wounds. 2. The first step of hope. Then one day, in the midst of a long schedule of filming and events, Jamie received a handwritten letter from Amelia. Before that, he had tried to contact her many times, text messages, phone calls, but she kept her distance. The letter, the slanted ink, made him feel as if she was sitting right in front of him. Jamie, maybe I've been stubborn for too long. Maybe I want to protect myself from further injury. But I also remember the way you smiled, the way you looked at the kids, the way you said I'm fine, and I know, you're not fine at all. If you really want to come back, we can try, no promises, no rush. But let's start with the truth. Amelia. Jamie's heart stopped for a moment. The letter lay on the table for hours, and he read it over and over again, each word a glimmer of light in his heart. He understood that this wasn't an invitation to come back immediately, but a thin thread that would pave the way for a reunion, if he truly wanted to walk the difficult path. That evening, he walked to their house, where the laughter and chatter of the family had once echoed. He stood outside the door, his heart pounding. He looked at the window, where the warm yellow light still flickered. He didn't know if Amelia would open the door, or if the children would remember his face. But he knew, if he didn't come today, when would he have the chance? The door opened. Amelia stood there, silent. No anger, no rage, just a sadness in the corners of her eyes. The children stood quietly behind her, no screaming, no running. They just looked at him. He bowed, looked up, and met their eyes. He said, "I'm sorry for letting things get this far. I owe you and the children so much." Silent, Amelia's eyes were moist. She didn't say anything, but her fingers gently gripped the doorknob, inviting him in. It was the first allowance, not quite a full acceptance, but a beginning. 3. The healing process. The early days weren't easy. Jamie learned to listen instead of making excuses. There were afternoons when he came home late, running into the house after the kids were asleep. He left a note of apology on the table, put a small bouquet of flowers, something he often forgot before. Amelia was always alert, placing small requests on his shoulders. Can you help cook dinner today? Can you pick up the kids from school? Simple, everyday words but also full of challenges. Jamie didn't explain, just replied, "Yes, I want to." He began to share more, with his fears, mistakes, feelings of guilt. He told Amelia, "You know, every night I lie in bed empty, I suddenly wake up and don't know where I am." Those lonely moments are longer than the moments of fame. She listened quietly, and in her eyes there was a worry, but also a glimmer of hope. The kids, initially hesitant, began asking the usual questions. Daddy, do you want to play this game with me? And Jamie replied, of course. They hugged him, as if they too had held back their memories for today. He told them about old memories, picnics, pranks, happy tears, but didn't let himself get lost in nostalgia. We can start today, he said. We can write a new chapter. Amelia opened up too, telling Jamie about the nights she cried when she thought he was gone, the times she wondered if she was strong enough to keep her family together, the days she learned to accept that she had to live with the pain. They went to see a friend, a family counselor, as a neutral companion. They learned to communicate without pressure, without blame. I know some scars never go away, but they can fade if you accept them. Every week, I spend time alone with. He apologized to each child individually, a reading session, a drawing session, a walk in the park. He apologized to each child individually, not in general terms. I'm sorry I was gone for so long, that I didn't listen to you, that I made you sad. They cried, they hugged him, and he knew, the tears were not a sign of weakness, but the beginning of healing. Forgiveness, a miracle. One evening, the family gathered around the dinner table, a scene he thought he had lost forever. By the warm light, Jamie looked at Amelia, appreciating every feature of her face. She looked at him, smiling softly. He knew she was listening. He stood up and walked to the center of the table. Amelia, my dear, I know nothing can erase the mistakes of the past. I know that the first thing I have to do is not ask for forgiveness, but prove myself worthy. But today, I want to tell you, I owe you and the children so much. I owe you the nights you slept alone with the baby. I owe you the times you wondered if I would ever come back. I owe you your patience, your endurance. You gave me a chance, a space to step into, and I can never forget that. If you are willing, I want to continue with you, with our family. No rush, no big promises, but with all my heart. Everyone was silent. The children looked at him with clear eyes, and in that silence, there was a sigh of relief. Amelia stood up and walked towards him. Her voice trembling. Jamie, I'm not saying I completely forgive you. But I see you're sincere, and I want to try. I want us to try again, step by step, if you'll take it. His heart seemed to burst with happiness. He collapsed, hugging her and the children. In that embrace, he felt the warmth, the feeling of coming home that he thought he had lost. Versus reborn from the ashes. Time passed slowly, but then there were moments when he understood that he had really returned. Early in the morning, he woke up and heard his children calling, "Daddy, are you awake?" And he smiled. He and the kids made cookies, played with Legos, told fairy tales. He listened to Amelia talk about her secret plans, sometimes just to test whether he really cared, and he listened, joined in, shared. They planned a small trip, where the family could talk, laugh, make new memories. As they walked together under the old trees, he held Amelia's hand. You know, every step I take with you now is more precious than any spotlight. Because the most important light is the way you look at me, and the smiles my children give me. She smiled, tilting her head slightly. He knew, it didn't take grand words, just small, steady, sincere actions. That was what rebuilt trust. One afternoon, after the children had fallen asleep, Jamie and Amelia sat together on the porch, looking at the moon and listening to the crickets. Jamie pulled a small box from his pocket, not a fancy ring box, but a simple wooden box. Inside was a delicate bracelet with a small moon engraved with the children's names. He said, "You know, I want us to look at this bracelet every day and remember that we are a family, through all the storms, but now, we are together. I promise to give you and the children the sense of security, love, and responsibility that I lacked. I already owe you a lot, but from now on, I will repay you with every day of my life. Amelia said nothing. She reached out and took the bracelet, looking straight into Jamie's eyes. She said, I believe in you, not because of your promises, but because of the way you live. And I also want to say one thing, I forgive. Maybe not completely, maybe not right now, but I forgive. And I will go on with you. Jamie felt the weight on his heart loosen. He looked up at the starry sky, then back at her and whispered, Thank you for giving me this chance.